so on average in Europe. Meanwhile, Standard & Poor's cuts U.S. ratings outlook to negative. The dollar is in terminal decline right now by design, and that ties into Bretton Woods too, and what George Soros and the bankers have set up, and they're on record doing it. So we're going to be going over that today and what a dollar implosion means and what it signifies to have the Saudi Arabians now coming out and rushing to the Russians, the Chinese, begging for help, realizing that the West has double-crossed the Middle East by trying to now foment rebellions in countries they're friendly towards and countries that they've been enemies with, like Muammar Gaddafi, though they made a deal with him 6 years to basically patch up their little agreement amongst thieves and criminals. There is no honor among thieves, and that's certainly being evidenced amongst these king rats fighting with each other. So huge, huge developments happening right now. And this is the absolute crowning proof that the globalists are orchestrating the unrest in the Middle East, North Africa. Though WikiLeaks is now confirming that, and that's an establishment rag right there, leaking machine. They put out some real stuff to get credibility. But you also have the State Department admitting it. You have El Baradi admitting it. I mean, it's been admitted going back 2 months ago with the whole Egypt situation that this is Western run. But when we say Western, we mean the corrupt banking elites that have grown so fat and powerful off of the wealth of the Western civilization and Western intellect and Western work ethic. So America and Europe gets the blame for the empire, but we don't get the spoils. Let's be clear about that. And Donald Trump is now speaking to those spoils and saying, we deserve the oil money, as if Americans are going to get a check in the mail. No, Americans pay for the war. We pay for it with money and blood and our name being demonized because it is an illegal, corrupt war in Iraq, namely. And then the big mega banks get to finance the reconstruction, and the big mega oil companies, they get to go in and get the oil and then sell it to us at $4 a gallon. So, Donald Trump, buddy, you and the kleptocrats in Wall Street are getting the money. And so it's this childlike sound bites, kind of like Sarah Palin going, we need people that'll fight in Washington, fight to cut the deficit, fight to cut welfare. We need people in Washington to fight like a girl. Well, actually, they fight like men in Washington to lie and steal and to launch new wars. They fight against us because they're bought and paid for. So it's not just we need a Donald Trump who's slick talking and will fight, but we know he'll fight. He'll fight to get socialist health care. Oh, you didn't know he supported that?
This is Alex Jones with 5 good reasons you should consider buying a solar power generator. Number 1, new climate legislation could easily double or triple your electric bill. Number 2, our new energy czar wants to control how much power your electric company allows you to have. It's true. Total government control of electricity in the name of smart grid technology is coming. Number 3, in some areas of the country, the power grid is dangerously overloaded. And now new socialist legislation is only compounding the problem. Number 4, dangerous weather is always a threat to local grids. Every year, thousands of families lose their power from weather-related outages. Number 5, a solar power generator provides powerful backup insurance and peace of mind. Folks, I really believe in the solar power generators offered by Solutions from Science, one of my oldest sponsors. You can get more information at www.mysolarbackup.com. That's mysolarbackup.com. Remember, the government doesn't own the sun, so go to mysolarbackup.com or call 1-877-327-0365.
A very wealthy U.S. citizen is predicting that in 2011, we will witness the most important day in America in more than 50 years. He says it will change everything about our lives. The way you shop, travel, invest, educate your children, and even how you take care of your health and your own family. Now, this man has made some outrageous predictions over the years. The crazy part is, he's usually right. You see, he predicted the collapse of GM, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, and America's biggest mall owner, General Growth Properties. In fact, Barron's called his work a dire prophecy. Recently, he created a video, which you can watch online for free, detailing his biggest and most important prediction yet. And it's a real eye-opener. I can't stress this enough. You should at least watch this free video online today. He explains everything you need to know, including simple steps you can take to protect yourself. You can find the video at www.endofamerica3.com. That's endofamerica, the number 3.com. Watch the free video at www.endofamerica3.com. That's endofamerica3.com.
Over the last year, Alex has told you about, and many of you have experienced, emergencies and disasters in unprecedented numbers. People have had to literally run for their lives. Folks, this is Steve Shank with eFoods Direct. I'm not here to scare you, but when disaster strikes, you won't have time to think. You must act automatically. What does a pilot do when the helicopter engine fails in flight? No time to think, just act automatically. When the alert is broadcast, the alarm sounds, or the knock comes on your door, you'll need to be ready to act without thinking of what to do or what you need. You need a 5-day extreme emergency kit. With serious supplies and real food to secure 2 adults for 5 days, this powerful $300 extreme emergency kit is free with an order of at least $995 from eFoods Direct. Go to efoodsdirect.com/Alex or call 800-409-5633. That's efoodsdirect.com/Alex. 800-409-5633.
Big Brother, mainstream media, government cover-ups. You want answers? Well, so does he. He's Alex Jones on the GCN Radio Network. And now, live from Austin, Texas, Alex Jones.
Well, for the next 40 minutes or so, Wayne Madsen of the WayneMadsenReport.com is going to be joining us. We don't normally have him on every week, but he's leaving the United States. He's traveled to Chicago from his home in D.C., spent months tracking down the mafia connections to Barack Obama, a real name Barry Soetoro of Indonesia. He also has been really ferreting out the evidence that Obama, his mother, and much of his family didn't just work for the biggest tax-free foundations and Timothy Geithner's dad and the Rockefeller Foundation, but was CIA. And his entire background has been expunged and carefully hidden. He is a globalist Manchurian candidate. It's come out that Tony Blair was MI5 and MI6 connected and was actually an MI6 agent, some of the papers have reported, over in England, as early as college. And, of course, they had a new movie out, basically, with a fictional account of that, Ghost Rider, that just came out last year, dealing with that. And of course, it's admitted that the globalists have these corporate operatives and also government operatives that they prepare, like George Herbert Walker Bush, became the CIA director, claiming he'd never been in the CIA in the mid-1970s, and then it was declassified years later. He was in the CIA out of college at the end of World War II. And, of course, who founded the CIA? That's also declassified. Yale, particularly Skull and Bones, which was a private British/German intelligence agency that recruited the best and brightest of America's East Coast, kind of Atlantic accented elitist, and that formed the core of the CIA. And Robert De Niro's film, The Good Shepherd, very historical, breaks all of that down. And so this fits the bill. This is how the shadow state controls things. Just like in all these third world countries, they train for decades people here in the West. They dispatch them to lead rebel groups to overthrow the government and then put in their own dictatorship. One of the best examples is Saddam Hussein, young army officer, 1958. Sent and trained in Egypt for 4 years, then sent in to commit assassinations. And the West made a deal that he was made the head of Ba'ath Security. The assassinations would stop, and the attempted assassinations would stop. Then in '79, the West staged a coup with Saddam to put him into power. Then 3 years later, they gave him $30+ billion to attack the Iranians. Then in 1990, they told him, go ahead, we don't care, we're going to support you in an attack on the Kuwaitis. Then they lied and said he was throwing babies out of incubators as a way to then double back and take out their old minion. But I'm sorry, Wayne Madsen joins us. I'm digressing with a history lesson. WayneMadsenReport.com. He's a Washington, D.C.-based investigative journalist, author, syndicated columnist, written for The Village Voice, Progressive, Counterpunch, Online Journal, America Conservative, Infowars.com. I should add, in addition to regular guest on CNN, RT, Fox News, he was on the UN. He was an advisor before the U.S. House of Representatives on the UN Criminal Tribunal for Rwanda and an anti-terrorism investigative panel for the French government. Madsen has some 20 years experience in security issues, U.S. naval officer, managed computer systems for the Navy, National Security Agency. It goes on and on. He's also one of the founding members of EPIC, the Electronic Privacy Information Center, a true defender of online liberty and free speech. But for those that don't know, recapping, Wayne, before we get into other issues, I just want to get you here while we can before you leave the U.S. Into some type of respite to write your book to expose these people that you've been out ferreting out corruption, and now you're getting confirmed reports through the State Department, through a major international media source and a foreign embassy that the White House wants you to know that they may have you killed any day. Wayne Madsen, thanks for joining us.
Good to be with you, Alex. I would add to that some of those threats have now been confirmed by sources in Chicago. So they keep continuing. The confirmations, anyway, keep continuing.
Just to recap it, tell folks about the specific conduits of the threats, and then let's get more into Obama and his CIA background that has got them so hopping mad.
Well, I was told by a major media person here for a very large foreign newspaper, who's, of course, many of these foreign journalists in Washington are closely connected to their embassies, and within their embassies, of course, are a lot of intelligence people. As a favor, he told me that the people at the embassy wanted me to know that the White House wanted to kill me. I mean, and I said, "Are you being metaphorical here?" He says, "No, I mean it." So that was followed up by a source within the State Department who basically said the same thing using the words "you're a marked man." So those kinds of things, I don't think can be taken lightly, especially after we've seen so many, and I've investigated many of these unexplained suspicious deaths, like the wife of the White House aide, Ashley Turton, former aide to the Secretary of Air Force, Jack Wheeler, found in a landfill in Wilmington. Ashley Turton burned up in her car here on Capitol Hill. And I mean, the list goes on and on, how many of these suspicious deaths I've myself investigated.
Yeah, it's been said that D.C. Hookers are as ubiquitous as water fountains. I think hitmen are as ubiquitous as water fountains as well.
Well, yeah, I mean, look at the history of this town from, the Vince Foster case to, it just goes on and on. There's so many, and many of them have just wound up as cold in the cold case files of the police.
So you're
department.
leaving because it's a lot easier for them to kill you there. I mean, they could shoot Vince Foster, put the wrong gun in his hand, no blood at the scene, have Hillary cleaning his office with carpet cleaners, keeping the police out. I mean, they can kill people in plain view there, and it's so corrupt that they can basically Arkansas you if they want. So you're getting out of there just so you're not as easy as a target.
Yeah, I mean, we had during the Bush administration, I think it was back in 2003, we had two people do a swan dives off of major landmarks here in Washington. The State Department employee off the roof of the State Department, and a guy who used to be an intelligence official for the CIA took a swan dive off the Watergate. I mean, both of these were reported as just unfortunate suicides by the Washington Post, which I call the compost. By
the way, you're not. How many floors up are you at your condo? Because I can see that it's a foggy day there in D.C. because you're shooting this from out on your balcony.
It is foggy. This is 13 stories up. Not a good number, is it? Very unlucky, but. But anyway, at least I could get it. I'm assured of getting a decent signal here because the AT&T cell tower is literally a few blocks away. So that services the Pentagon. So unless they want to interfere with their own communications, they won't interfere with mine.
That's right. We got a better video Skype connection with you today, but we hope that before you try to leave town, you don't try to become a bird and fly off that balcony right there.
Well, I'll tell you, it's hard to get in this building. The security here is pretty good, but from the vantage point now over my shoulder, you can see we've got the Washington Monument and the White House down below there, and it's amazing what you see, especially at night with the helicopter traffic flying around. I often see Obama's Marine One shooting back and forth.
When I was there in D.C. last, we went to some of the restaurants in Georgetown at night, and there were the cream of American beauties. I mean, these were truly beautiful women, much more